This body, so I can explain to Bobby what the hell happened.
And good evening, folks. How we doing?
Hello.
Concerned.
I just remembered that happened.
Yes, indeed.
Sounded weird.
As always, my thanks are extended wholeheartedly. I'm glad, quite happy that we are here. We have the opportunity to play, and we can pick up from where we last left last session. It was a bit of a note-keeping moment on my part, and running a little bit behind, getting things situated in preparation for my hell day coming up. I have an early morning and a very long day ahead of me. So this is my last hurrah, the final fandango of a bit of a reprieve from all of that drudgery. And you all are a very big, important part of that. Not sure how many of you, or if any of you, had the opportunity to open up the ears towards the last episode. We all get busy and things happen. So before we dive immediately into the deepest, darkest waters on the coteries horizon, are there any questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we need to round off?
I'm just ready to smooth this all over. Good luck.
All right. Well, silence is always a good thing. It means that we are invested, we are bought in, we are ripping, raring to go. So without much further ado, child, without too much more delay on this is officially Steel Hearts, Rusted Souls, Season 5. The coterie, having returned closer to their home of Gary, are resting, hiding, laying low in the hospitality of Baron Pompeo, or Don Pomp as most people call him. When we last left the coterie, Leonetti and John, due to their injuries and the variable malleability of the Vitae, did not rise for the evening. Their Vitae working to mend the damage and spur them on, because the beast, for all of its strengths, for all of its majesty, for all of its predatory viciousness, is at heart a coward, which demands continued existence at any cost, and it would not risk its promise of forever on granting them immediate mobility. Them having rested and died for the day in the presence of so many other predators, had their own beast holding them at bay, keeping them from becoming ambulatory in the midst of so many other predators, waiting till the coast was clear. And while they lay all but dead for the beginning of the night, Haley, Gigi, and Nikki set about making themselves at home with the hospitality of Baron Pompeo. They met a few of his staff. They managed to obtain the permission to feed. They managed to, make a right mop of things as far as such things go. A deceased donor, an escaped on the Ron Warrington, and two of their members left lying in state. There were efforts made to prepare them with donors being provided. However, the results of that are still unknown. So we begin our season 5, second episode, the apologizing repentance of Fernando, with Haley realizing that the world isn't the world anymore, far wider. With Gigi understanding that there is a measure of darkness, even she, as an emissary of all of that of end times, of all things, still has yet to go. And Nikki, having come face to face, vicariously, with memories of the past, standing stunned with the monstrousness that she is aware of now. There's no small part of her that had not discounted her co-members as, perfectly honest, harmless in the face of things. For all of their duplicity, for all of the betrayals, for all of the violence that had come their way at the end of the night, and was all said and done, in the grand scheme of monstrousness that she had seen over her relatively long life, the coterie were harmless. That is, until now. So, beginning in reverse alphabetical order, you guys look there on the left of our screen under live play, you'll see which order that is, starting with Nikki, then Leonetti, then Lasky, then Haley, then Gigi. Realizing the danger you are all in. Nikki, you having spent the largest time, not just in the U.S., but in various places around the world, many of which you would prefer not to speak on, not to relive, not to remember. There's a certain etiquette, there's a certain rule of comity that the destruction of another's donor is sure to provoke. Would you be so kind as to roll your either wit or intelligence plus etiquette? Which is thinking of a way, quick fire, to use this to your best benefit and perhaps not trigger the worst, harshest punishment. Intelligence is literally being able to recite the line and verse in the unspoken laws of comedy that you all have transgressed. The letter of the law, not necessarily the spirit, bending it to your own uses. Your DC is 2.
Yeah, I'm still gonna rouse. Please. Of course.
Mein Herr, mein lieber Herr, you know you are not up to this task. You are feeling. There is nothing perfect about you, save your inability to do what is most correct for yourself.
You said DC 2, right?
Correct. They are not paying attention. It would be best to sink your fangs and escape. Or, better yet, sink your fangs, lay them both low, and present them to your host so that you might receive a reprieve. They are monsters. They deserve what you can lay on them.
Ugh. And why is the willpower still broken on this thing?
It's not. Your only success is your hunger die.
Can't re-roll those. That's why. Ugh. I mean, well, I know they can't just dip. That'll be fucked up.
Almost as shy as abusing your host's hospitality. Kill them. Kill one of you. root injure the other. Present them as the cost of you honoring your host. Lay the strongest one down and present the weaker as spoils of their rudeness. On and on your beast prowls the edges of your mind, presenting you with various strategies as to how best to escape the situation. But while that is happening internally, what is it that Nikki is doing externally? What is it that Nikki is communicating? Are they communicating anything, or is the shock of the moment realizing that Gigi is far more kindred than any person could easily assume? Her accent, much like Haley's, one that speaks towards a certain gentility, a certain noblesse oblige, and yet here they are, putting you again in harm's way.
But you overdid it a bit, didn't you, Gigi? Is this all?
She gives Nikki a very really girl look, but then it was not at all my intention to do so. Obviously, I was fairly hurt and fairly hungry, and he wanted to die. He begged to die. I didn't wish to give him such, but carried away is carried away, and I do realize that.
But of course you do, you will have to tell Pompeo you did this, regardless of his wishes, or your victim's wishes.
I am aware of such. It's just that Howard that we brought with us decided it would be pertinent for him to not be here when I explained.
Only he has the luxury of running. This is quite the pickle. Just when we escape the children of the corn. For once, I wish for one night where we could breathe easily. But for now, I mean, is it like a mess or anything? Or he's just dead? Storyteller?
There is dead, and then there's what he is. There is the absence, almost instantly, that weight of the 4 nickels, the 21 grams of his soul dissipated into nothingness. Almost instantly, that body, nothing more than an empty vehicle with no gas, the engine even gone, just a husk. There's a presence that death manifests. When you see it, you know it. But this is almost the most concentrated form of death you have seen on a body in ages.
Interesting. What could this mean?
Hand slipped into pocket. Don Pompeo looks at the mess, looks at the realization as to what's happened. Now, most movies would have you believe that those who operate outside of the law, those who do reach the heights of success in that field, in that criminality, are these raving, wanton beasts. They express themselves at the end of a bat or with the butt of a gun or worse. But the truth of the matter is, and what all of the propaganda otherwise would have you not believe, is that crime, like every other trade, rewards the brave. It rewards the calm. It rewards those who think before they act. It takes skill, intelligence, and a certain understanding of the rules of the game to exceed. And those that really succeed are not the raving animals that Hollywood, that primetime television, that novels would have you believe. Now, of course, there's an exception to every rule, but those exceptions only matter because they are, in fact, the exceptions. Don Pompeo, in the grand corporatized structure of criminality, is not an exception. He's an exceedingly well thought out individual. One foot in front of the other, understanding that ladders work both ways, knowing that it is better to spend a little bread than to lose the entire restaurant over a few pieces of cheese. This may seem like a simple question. I'm going to ask it anyway. See where you guys are. Why were you not taught? And part two. And it's the part that really, like, my hopes and dreams are hung on, like at the start. Why didn't you run?
Gigi pulls their face together and turns to look at the Don. I know you don't know me very well. You only know me through Leo, but I am a woman of breeding and class, and I do not run from my mistakes. It would have been far more untoward to pretend I had done nothing and escape into the night like some common thief. And we can work this out as adults, and I can pay for my mistakes, hopefully without blood. As to your first question, wait, what did he ask again? I forgot.
Haven't you been taught?
The odd thing in that is that the Lasombra are often the boogeyman of the vampire world outside of the Sabbath. I don't use that as an excuse, just that we are often left to our own devices once made. So it's a lot of self-teaching. And again, I blew up a tree, flew through the air, and suffered quite a lot of injury. And was fairly hungry. More so than I ever expected. Otherwise, I would have definitely tried even harder than I did to stop myself.
Right. It's all about honesty, isn't it? You know, like, we could have run away, but she owning up to what she did, this woman whose name I don't even know. Let me tell you a story about honesty. A long time ago, there was a bloke who cut down a tree, and when they asked him, they said, "Did you cut down this tree?" And he said, I did. And then later on, he went on to become your Captain Freedom, the first president of the United States, George Jefferson.
Washington. And also, you did extend the hospitality. It would have been rude to run. Also, I would assume it would occur to Giraffe that we were too much of a coward to own up to our mistakes.
Well, that's just smart, and then they're smart. Yeah, money will do as a token, as a sign that you understand how. Now, don't take this the wrong way. And with that, he takes his hands out of his pockets and begins motioning with them, begins speaking with his hands. There's rudeness, and then there's this. Whether you meant to or not, you stole from me. Now, normally that comes with a severe warning, the sort that your kids, your children, would have to come to grips with. But you did bring information as to what's going on in Gary. You did bring... Where's the bear and the Gary? Where's Warrington? Fucking Walker. Where's that guy?
Oh, he fucked right off out the window.
Smarter than I give him credit for. How the fuck you get stuck in a one-horse town? But anyway, look. That, and he points to the corpse, is considerable. You know how hard it is raising donors when the fucking Castigliones and those creepy magisters down there in Thornton got nearly the entire area on lock. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I ain't necessarily friends with the fucking Bloods out of Chicago.
Maybe you should buy him a gift.
Pizza's here.
Huh. And no offense, but I don't mind doing business with almost anybody. But I heard how the Castiglione processes their donors. And I'm assuming that they're using her recipe to do so. Well, I'm a bad guy. Not a bad guy, if you know what I mean.
That's from Wreck-It Ralph.
I understand perfectly what you mean.
Good. So then you know that my donees, my donors, are as homogeneously, organically sourced as possible. They're paid for their time. They're not stolen. They're not beat about the neck and shoulders with domination or anything like that. No reaching into their head and stirring things up until they don't know which way is up or which way is down. It's not the way that we do things here.
You do free range.
Farm raised. And he motions around him. It's the operation here on the outskirts of the city. This little out of the way hole is what the others might call a processing plant. And you just took one of my better providers. Took one of the milk cows from me. It has a considerable investment. Not to mention all of the resources going into feeding my buddy Leo and your buddy Lasky right now. And here's hoping that they don't steal from me too. Because, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound.
He has a point. It does set a bad precedent.
I know this might be a strange question for you, and I do understand very much what it is you are saying to me and the amount of debt that I see myself in. But do you also realize what I said? He was fairly suicidal, so if it had not been me, it would have been somebody else. It was just my unluck that it was me.
So luck of the draw didn't give you a good hand. Is what you're saying, huh?
Agreed.
Luck of the draw. We all play the hands that were dealt unless of course you get up from the table. Is that what you offered?
Oh, I will very much play the hand that I am dealt. I'm not very good at poker, but I will do what I can to make this rectified or correct in your eyes as far as best as I can.
Good deal. We got a good place to start from. And speaking of start from, perhaps we should leave this so my guys can clean this up and go check in on your partners, my buddy Leo and your guy Latsky. And no sooner does one speak of the devil than he appears. Though in this case, the appearance is merely us turning our gaze from the charnel house that the room has suddenly become to the secluded, secured space inside the barn. Now the beast, again, at its core, is the cowardly craven thing that refuses any true risk to its forever. So as the space darkens and the cool warmth of the other kindred fade into nothing but a vague memory, would Leonetti and John please make your rouse rolls? Just to see what state your particular beast resurrect your dead flesh into. With all of the trauma and all of the drama that you all have gone through in your mad dash from Walkerton, damaged though you are, wounded and injured, the beast does not exact its price. It does not demand blood for the blood god. Not yet. It bides its time. As your eyes open to the darkness around you, you hear the creaking of a door. Standing in the doorway is a shorter, squatter woman, clearly of no small amount of age. Standing over her shoulders are 4 lumps of meat. And the reason why the male, overly developed, muscled forms are considered lumps of meat, because even quiet as the beast is currently, and not ranging and growling and tearing at your flesh as if it was a screen door, it recognizes prey. And the 3 lumps in the doorway, 3 mountainous men behind the woman who's holding the lantern, is and are in fact prey. There's a bovineness to their gaze, a certain dull willingness to give until it hurts that sits there, along with a certain familial relation, easily discernible in the jawline, the brow line, the fact that they are of a similar hue.
Just to make sure it's 3 for healing ag damage, right? 3 rouses.
Yes.
So, is Leonetti unshackled? Is there anything keeping him from attacking or beating?
Well, South Haven isn't exactly the south of anywhere. While the average person doesn't quite have a backwoodsy accent, there is a common phrase heard in a certain portion of the populace. There is nothing but air and opportunity And if you don't seize the opportunity, you guaranteed are going to lose some of that air, buddy.
So I'm guessing there's nothing holding it back.
Absolutely not.
He's going to pounce on one of them. He's hungry. The one that seems to be his preferred choice.
And watching Leonetti leap into action, what crosses Lasky's mind? Aware that what is going to happen is a rending, a sundering of flesh, and well,
He's gonna try and stop him.
Really?
Yes. I don't know these people, but they might be friends.
Excellent. Well, just for bookkeeping, Leo, what's your blood potency?
My blood potency is, I believe, 2.
And Lasky.
One.
What's your strength?
My strength?
My strength? Can I quickly spend EXP? No. 1. Wait, what does that say? Yeah, 1.
All right. So as Leonetti goes barreling from the cot upon which he is laying, Lasky, seeing him lurching forward and towards the humans in the doorway, begins to try to stop him. How is he doing so? Is he shoving an arm in Leonetti's mouth? Is he tackling him to the ground? Is he attempting to hold him by the scruff of his neck like a bad kitten? How is he attempting to stop the charging dynamo that is Leonetti?
Can I do something stupid?
Sure.
Is there anything like sharp I can grab, or my nails sharp enough that I can just like open a wound on my? Oh wait, I'm already all woundy. I just have to activate the blush, so, and then that will make blood flow.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Well, Leonetti, what's your hunger?
3. That's what I said. He's hungry.
He is not ravenous. He has been.
Yeah.
He's been more.
Yeah, but
here's the thing. Here's the thing that he has done his abject best to keep from it being a factor in this coterie, in this adopted family, in this group of like-minded outsiders. He has done everything he can to keep that truth from ever reaching public knowledge. And as Lasky, would you so kind as to go ahead and roll his rouse?
I have, so I succeeded.
So he
And I
takes
just realized
on
my hunger.
takes on the blush of life, and the space is filled with the delicious scent of his most cherished meal. Would you be so kind as to roll 1/3 your humanity plus your unspent willpower, your DC?
we gain back our willpower when we rest, right?
Do I have to roll frenzy if it's my own blood?
Not yet. At a dramatically
Okay.
appropriate moment, that will certainly come into play, because you should be hunger 4, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
I
You,
just want to make sure
you would be
that if-
1 higher, yes. One
Okay.
higher from where we last left. So
Okay, that's still good. That's still beneficial. Because if I really don't want to actually be open that. Okay, wait. He had 1/3 of his humanity, which I believe. Just one. That's 7. And no hunger. Don't add hunger onto it, right?
No.
Okay. Okay.
all right. Now here's the thing. You may, if you like, spend a willpower to give yourself one action, or you can turn into the skid. Instead of fighting the spin out happening inside you as this space fills with the scent of kindred vitae, you can turn into the skid. You can turn into the spin. You can stop fighting it and turn into it to try to better gain control on the way out of it.
So essentially, try to take an action to do something, or just go into it and hope that it's better when I come out.
Yes, a very succinct way of placing that.
I'm gonna do the option number 1. Spend a willpower.
Excellent. Go ahead
Because
to subtract
that's-
your willpower.
Yeah.
You may do one action. You can issue a command. You could throw something at him. You could attempt to flee past the 3 mountains of muscle in the doorway. But at the end of the day, at the end of the night, you must sink Fang into some kindred.
Hanks. Okay. He's going to do his best to run because he really does not want that. You had to put him in this situation. He does not want to be in this situation. He's hungry and he's really, really pissed off now. Specifically at Lasky for putting him into this situation that he does not want to be.
Come on, get blood bonded to Lasky.
Fuck no.
All right.
No, he would not care if it was just some ordinary vampire. He would just eat them in their entirety. The problem is that you are part of it. You just do that. He doesn't care.
All right. So that being the case,
But-
as you pull up short, the full monstrosity of your beast weighing across your face, it looks in the moment as if you've become something and someone else. The sheer animalistic frenzy settling over your face causes you to stop stock still in a way that only the dead can. There is no semblance of life in you. The only thing that you are in this moment is hunger. And through no small, impossible effort, you hold yourself still enough to not turn and divest Lasky of all of his immortality. It is a measure of trust and appreciation that there is no equal to. In that moment, Leonetti literally places Lasky's forever over his own best interests. And the squat, muscular woman in the doorway, seeing the struggles happening, takes a step back. There's an unspoken action that happens. There's a dawning of recognition between the three muscles men, and they move forward. It is clear that their goal now is to put you on your back, to restrain you, to keep you from doing what it looks as if you are preparing to do, which is kill everything living. And, self-preservation being what it is, that means then you would need to roll if you're going to muscle through them, literally break fingers, snap bones, get free of them, it would be a strength plus brawl versus the rolled action there in the dice channel. If you are attempting to dodge their grip and dodge their attempt to pin and hold you still, that would be a dexterity and brawl action.
I'll try the dodge. I'll listen to everything.
No, either one. Or you can literally try something in your bag of tricks otherwise, if you are resisting.
Here's what's going through his head. He's worried, like, if they're just trying to pin him down, not harm him in any ways, he's actually thinking that might be useful in his current situation, but his beast, it doesn't want to. As the cat that it is, it doesn't want to fight, it wants to dodge, it wants to escape, it wants to get into a better situation where his pounce will kill.
Excellent.
With the least resistance, so he will fight tooth and claw to try. And that's the best I'm gonna get.
Okay.
So I'm probably pinned down now.
You began taking evasive action. You began pushing and struggling and attempting to wrestle with forces and skills that most average people shouldn't have. But with their life on the line, they're able to dig deep. Now, Lasky, there's a uncomfortable realization that begins to happen. Your little trick, your efforts were successful. You stopped Leonetti from divesting these poor human donors of their blood and their potential loss of life. However, in doing so, you turn Leonetti from the predator to the prey, and you watch as this tall, muscular, heroic-looking kindred, who has saved your existence on multiple instances, is ragdolled. His arm is thrown into a lock, his other into a nearly pushed to the point of breaking hold. His trunk is being wrestled to the ground, his legs taken from him. They are tearing him apart. His skills, great though they are, held at bay by his own bestial urges and their numerical advantage. And the moment that these subtle, small thoughts begin assailing you, as they always do, the myriad possibilities of the multitude of realities dancing there at the precipice of your understanding, to be so kind as to roll 1/3 your humanity and your unspent willpower. The stench of kindred vitae, the sweat of muscle-bound men wrestling with undead flesh, the bruising turning into small scrapes, those small scrapes welling with flowers of blood, the microscopic stuff that normally doesn't bother anyone or anything. In fact, it goes unnoticed more times than not. Would you like to roll a willpower?
I can't roll willpower.
Oh.
I have 4 hunger. Remember, I forgot to put the 4.
Oh, it's a tracker roll, so you can roll willpower. Your hunger.
Do you want me to roll willpower?
No, it's up to you. Just letting you know.
I want to save it.
Okay, excellent. Being as you're resisting the beast, being as you're resisting his efforts, being as you are fighting through the myriad possibilities of forever happening in front of your eyes, it slips its leash. You are pouncing and descending on the nearest side of beef to you. And it's almost as if you're watching from a third-person view. You imagine the soul of you sitting at a keyboard over your shoulder, attempting to cancel the command to feed. Yet the input isn't working. Someone has managed to unplug your keyboard, so you are watching as your avatar in this video game of a world executes the feed command, and you can't stop it. And equally unstoppable. Haley, in the grand scheme of things, you've seen less powerful people respond more viscerally to the idea of something being stolen from them. You've seen people who didn't have a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out of, nor even any liquid in their system to excrete, act as if they are emperor of the world and execute a cost high enough that their victims, those that stole from them, fought with all they had. You've watched 2 homeless women curb stomp one of the homeless teenagers who were partying at the impromptu rave over the theft of one beer. You've seen Magic Mile, the Magnificent Mile socialites push one another down the stairs over the idea of stealing the other's boy toy of the evening. You've seen officers of the law engage in vicious assault and horrible battery over the theft of flak vests. Not even puncture shields, just the vests. You've seen people behave in all manner of affronted, vengeful pride over the idea of theft. And here is Don Pompeo, Baron of South Haven, who is approaching it as if it is a business transaction to be completed. You withdrew too much. Okay, fine. There's going to be an overdraft fee and we'll figure this out. So the idea of you calmly leaving the room in the company of the Baron himself and your impromptu coterie is a strange place to be. Like, there should be bloodletting. There should be somebody being stabbed. There should be someone at least, arguing over who's going to buy the next several quarter keys over this situation. Instead, he's going on about how homogeneously sourced the donors that he provides are. There is a small period of training. The head farmhand, who's also the cook for most of the donors, does her best to train them so that there's just something we realize, that exercise and a relatively clean living helps the donors provide more blood. They are, what do you say? They're like prize-winning steers. They're able to get the size up. They're able to give as much as it takes. They're able to look out for one another. In fact, some of them are even engaged in learning martial arts to protect themselves should one of my guests, one of my providers, overdo it. It's a trick that I heard from that Silk up there in Gary, what she was doing.
Not that one though, eh?
No, I'm taking your word for it that he was nearing the end of the process and was looking for retirement. It's one of the reasons why we didn't typically put him for use as much. People get addicted to all sorts of things. It's weird. I've never been an addictive person myself. I find it a weakness of the spirit.
I don't think he could have been any more of a sad boy if he was wearing a Cure t-shirt.
Cure? What are you talking about? That's a fucking happy band. People got the wrong idea about the song.
Alright, the Smiths then? Is that better?
Oh god, no, we ain't gonna even talk about them. Them fuckers. Now there's music to slit your wrist to if that was even possible for us. Them there, I don't know how you kids listen to them.
I mean, who else writes a love song about being hit by a bus?
I don't know, maybe Moby or Beck. Of course, after a while, it all starts to sound the same.
It is a bit derivative. So where do we go from here then?
Well, we're gonna get your boys from feeding on my other donors, and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk. Luckily, I know Leo is a good guy, so I'm sure that he's keeping the peace and making sure your buddy Lasky isn't gonna double down on your mistake. But
So which one is Leo and which one is Lasky?
what do you mean? Which one is Leo? Which one is Lasky? Leonetti, the Mediterranean-looking, tall, deadly gun guy, real mover shaker, former special ops, calm, cool, collected.
Yeah, right. I don't know any of these people. They just blew up a tree, and I sort of kidnapped a rotter who ran out the window and fucked off, and here we are.
He pauses and looks between Gigi and Nikki, and then back to Haley. I don't know if you know this or not. I don't know if, how old you actually are, because I know you kids do the whole hipster thing. But there's a thing called stranger dangers. It's even more relevant for us that are already in this life. Not everybody has a sense of honor. Not everybody has a sense of control and decency. It's one of the reasons why the rules are punished as harshly as they are.
I mean, I'm sure stranger danger has some merit, but for the most part, it's like those warnings on pill bottles to not take it with alcohol. Total rubbish.
You clearly need therapy. Luckily, I know a guy. There was this writer up in Gary I might need to connect you with. We'll talk about that later.
Artie said I needed therapy too.
Yeah, Caldwell was good for pointing out flaws in himself that everybody else had. And as you all get to the door, he opens the door to the barn, and you immediately hear the sign and sounds of a forces infernal warring. There's an all but bobcat-like growl happening, and there's a scuffling sound that can only be large men engaging in too close of a space. And standing roughly halfway across the floor through the darkness is the young lady who you all met at the start of the evening, dressed as she is in her farmhand attire, her hat still equally as wide, but a lantern in her hand, raised high enough that you can see the movement of shadow and flesh inside the space that was formerly safe for you all. And speaking of formerly safe, Gigi and Nikki, seeing this happen, watching what's happening across that darkness into that space, what is on your and Haley's mind? What is it that you all are attempting or not attempting in this moment? Because it is clear that 3 or more large men are fighting in the space where you all spent the day. Where Lasky and Leonetti were left lying in state.
Nikki just puts her head in one of her hands, rubbing her eyes, and she just says, "Scheiße."
You all aren't one of those lots that travel around the country in a van and assume that only problems can be solved with violence.
I rarely use violence, darling, unless totally necessary.
Normally not. These two are the worst behaved of the bunch. And with that being said, she raises her voice to get both Lasky and Leo's attention, hoping to stop them struggling and fighting so that the guys will not hurt them further, and then we can sort this whole feeding situation out. Everybody on my team, please stop what you're doing. We're just trying to... Things have already gone bad tonight. I need you to calm down.
Please, children, restrain yourself. She looks to Haley. The night I met Leonetti, he shot a man in the head in the back of my shop. That's how I got here.
I never knew that.
Not just for funsies.
No, the man was going to attack him. Rather than do it quietly, he just pulled out a gun and shot him.
Right, so all problems must be solved with violence. Got it.
No.
While you're having that conversation, Leonetti finally speaks up and just loudly says, "Fuck you, Lasky." And that's it. He's just screaming because he's not happy.
John, what did you do?
John is not present now.
Is it okay if I'll just refer to them both as Chad?
Lasky,
Leonetti, that might be used a decently accurate term.
Lasky, my dear friend, after all that you've lived through, after all that you've survived, here the wreck and ruin of all that pain comes due. Because while you watch from the command center hundreds of thousands of light years from this moment, watching as your body divests this poor, clearly not defenseless mortal of all that you need, there's a realization that happens here. The lady sitting in the door with the lantern held high, keeping watch, has drawn a gun. With her back to the others across the barn, they can't see it. You, piloting your body from third person, can. And while she's keeping a loose eye on Leonetti as he's being held to the ground and being pinned, while the other two are working towards freeing their flesh so that they can get him a drink to calm down, the donor in your hands, the donor in your sweat, the donor who you can taste has experienced a multitude of their own chemical imbalances, is leaning into you as if you are a lover, his first love, his truest, most special friend. You can feel the warmth begin to fade, his heart pumping hard and fast, giving you gulp after gulp after gulp of his life. There's a point that every kindred is aware of is a step too far, because while the blood is what the beast settles for. The truth of the matter, what the beast wants, what it craves, is the entirety of that life, the full soul, the unleaded, uncut, the unstepped on fullness of all that entity's existence. And you all do your best to drink slowly, to dance around that often enough that the beast gets confused and you're able to withdraw. You're able to lick the wound close and let the human heal over the next couple of days. But in this moment, you are alone for the ride as your beast gulps hungrily, drinking more and more, and lapping, the occasional lapping of the tongue, adding to the pleasure that the donor is experiencing. And as the light begins to dim in his eyes, you realize that there is only but one outcome for this evening. You realize that their whole life has been bent towards this moment. So yeah, you don't hear anything except for that. You don't see anything but that. You don't realize anything but that. Is there any extraordinary effort you might attempt?
Did you hear me?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I have to keep this mic like 5 feet away from me. Sorry. He's going to try his damnedest not to drain this human or mortal kind. I'll break the monitor.
Okay. That being the case, we'll give you an extraordinary roll. It will cost mandatorily 1 of your willpower. You will roll 1/3 of your humanity plus your unspent willpower. Your DC is 4. You can slow the gulping with a 3. At 2, you won't stop until this person ceases to be. At 1, you won't stop till every living being in this room ceases to be.
Can I give him a die? Because I was planning on soaring, leaping, and knocking him to the floor.
And that's what what are you guys doing? Request was for, to see if you guys were going to do anything. You all called out. You all spoke. You didn't cover the distance. So yes, you can try, but your difficulty is 5. And you have to do at least 2 points of damage to potentially knock him free, because it is clear that Lasky is gone. Lasky has left the body, and the beast is all that remains.
Okay, so what's the pool for that one?
Strength plus prudence.
Yeah, I only have 2 dots in the whole pool, so I don't know how I'd get a 5.
No, that would not be doable. You could potentially free Leonetti. Maybe.
Your crits get crits.
It is too far, it is too dark, it is... You can see, but no one else can. You see the madness given actual flesh that is Lasky in this moment. You know that while Old Yeller was a friend and a pal and a confidant helping those summer days, in this moment he is the most dangerous thing to all existence. You know that there's only one thing you can do. It's time to find the shotgun and make that trip out to the shed behind the house. Because while Old Yeller put himself in harm's way to protect you, there is a cost that life charges. There is a cost to doing business, and that business, unfortunately, is costly.
Yeah, there's not much I can do in that case. If he is that far away, then I'm not going to even chance it. Shit. Yeah, this is just gonna. Yeah, she's kind of frozen to the spot then.
There is something oddly arousing. Not sexually, not sensually, but it excites the senses. It stirs that unspeakable portion of yourselves as you watch from a distance. Gigi can see clearly. You all see the effects of it, the slumping of the muscles, the well-toned musculature of someone who has spent time either working out religiously or engaging in actual labor and building the muscles through use. There is something arousing about watching the strong become the weak. There is something titillating to the beast in seeing the physical results of the light die, while Gigi can see clearly and watches as the light grays and the eyes begin to lose color. The others of you, through the frantic and frenetic actions of the two men tag teaming and attempting to get Leonetti's fangs into one of their arms, obfuscates just enough that this is like the dance of 1,000 veils. Not 100, not 50, not 10, but 1,000. Through the flickering movement of the muscle-bound men holding Leonetti, stripping off shirts and wrestling to get their exposed flesh into his mouth. And the lady at the door, her wide-brimmed, well-used utilitarian clothing, and her hand in her pocket, you can see a small movement and rustling from behind where you all stand. And Nikki's statement of Shiza and Gigi's call to arms to get everyone to calm down has the Don literally scrubbing his face. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking... Get off of fucking him. He's one of us for the most part. And you see his donor. No, he's trying to eat his friend. Oh, fucking let him eat his friend. What are you doing? The guy don't want... Ah! And the Don begins covering the distance and moving closer to the action. There's no hesitation. There's just frustration at this situation.
Haley will turn her head slowly and look at Nikki and say, so all right, if I'm going to continue hanging out with you, I think the first thing is we need to have a feeding 101 class.
Agreed. But I think they know better. We've been through a lot, and we've had to use a lot of blood. It's just one of those nights.
I mean, I'll take your word for it, but the odds are pretty high.
I feel by the end of the night we will owe the Baron a lot.
So do we throw like ice chips at them, or how do you stop this? Does this happen all the time?
This is the first time I believe I've been present for any, but I believe so. We have to get Lasky and Leonetti under control.
Perhaps we could offer them some Monster Energy drinks and tap out shirts.
The thing is, Lasky is not himself. You aren't seeing in his eyes what I'm seeing right now. He is gone. Leonetti is fine. He will be fine. They have him under control. We need to get Lasky before he gets himself dead. Deader.
All right, what can I do to help?
So then Gigi starts marching across the space as quickly as she can.
Nikki will follow.
There's a comedy that everyone fears, that everyone talks about. It's a common aphorism. Now, the Baron is a larger guy, not because he's tall in stature or wide, but a larger guy because he is solidly built. And while he is only 5'7", it is a solid 5'7", as if he has been carved out of steel. His time as a member of the undead not changing that. In fact, adding more compactness to it. So as he moves, the ground responds to his steps, the forcefulness of it. He is coming to handle business. And as he crosses in front of the farmhand, the lady that you all met, and moves past the two men still holding Leonetti, but no longer trying to force him to drink, his snarling, cursing, angry person looking up at the body of his savior. A small welcome. Put an end to this. Stop, Lasky. Stop this comedy of errors from spiraling into complete and pure chaos. As he nears and forces Lasky off of his donor, hopefully having gained enough sustenance to find some semblance of himself, his donor, caught in the throes of the kiss, manages to sneak attack. A wild flailing, which causes the Baron to lose his grip on Lasky, who wasn't completely removed from the donor. In the doing, the tearing of flesh, the nipping of the Baron's skin, the vitae used to rouse and not alarm his staff members and his other guards, and to keep everyone at peace and calm, working against them all. Leonetti, would you be so kind as to roll 1/3 of your humanity, your unspent willpower, -1. Because while Lasky his scent has filled the room, and you will not stop until you sink Fang into a kindred. An increase in the sheer potent flavor of kindred vitae in the room causes a resurgence and a redoubling of your beasts now being held, not being wrestled against, not being pinned, not put into an arm lock or an arm bar, not being paid the full attention to. Like every stealth predator, turning your back is a death sentence. And while they don't physically turn their back, it is clear their attention, much like your own, was focused on the Don. While outside of this smallish space, with Gigi and Haley and Nikki closing the distance, causing a near bottleneck at the doorway, you all watch as Leonetti's eyes disappear for a second. His eyes become the matching darker version of Lasky's. For the briefest flickering of a second, it feels as if you are in the presence of something from the other side of the veil. For the briefest flickering of a second, Leonetti, was a fever dream had in the 10th grade one summer afternoon. The reality of what lay there before you, Nikki having experienced it, a machine designed for death. Never having been human, it doesn't understand the value of life, let alone the promise of forever. Leonetti is the brand name for this particular model, this engine of destruction. And as he surges to his feet, a mindless glint in his eye as he leaps upon the Baron's back, what is it that you all are doing?
Leonetti's gonna jump the Baron.
Yes.
He is mindless, and this is all because of Lasky. If Lasky would have just minded his own business, we wouldn't be in this situation. But you know what? He decided to get himself into this situation.
He's saving humans. Humans' lives matter more than kindred.
Leonetti doesn't care. They're just lives. The only difference is that now he's dealing with somebody with actual. He's attacking somebody he wouldn't normally he would never even consider. He would not do under if he was sane.
Yeah, spreading insanity one drop of vitae at a time.
So yeah, mental powers won't work on him right now, right?
That's what I'm going to find out.
Well, I mean, he sounds like he's in a frenzy. If he's in a frenzy, mental powers don't work against kindred. If he's in a frenzy.
If you believe so. You've never tested it. There's all sorts of wife tales out there.
Gigi is going to do her best to put herself between, wiggle herself up in between Leonetti and the Don and just bodily attempt to wedge him free.
Yeah, Nikki's gonna help.
And Haley, watching this moment spiral.
Haley's gonna watch because she doesn't really know any of these people. She doesn't know what they're capable of, and she's high as fuck.
Always a good state to be in.
Riding that fentanyl wave, the opiates, or feeling good. The last thing I want to do is wade into a combat.
Oh, it is not a combat. It is a scrum. They're playing hot potato. That hot potato is the vitae and blood in this room.
I'm gonna have to rouse one. Seeing as that she's 0 hunger right now, it shouldn't be a problem. So rouse.
It's never a problem. Always trust the beast. Always trust in the strength that it can provide you. Always. Look at that.
And she stays at 0 hunger.
It likes you. You are providing it an opportunity. You're putting it closer to a bleeding, angry kindred who would never even realize how much vitae you took from them.
Okay, so does that give me 1 die or 2 die?
2. You're effectively rousing your strength, I take it. There is a moment that always occurs. There's a moment when the tide of the battle changes, when the tables turn, when it is clear someone has fallen into the trap of someone else, when the opportunity for success is outweighed or suddenly no longer what one believed they were. The conditions for victory have changed so that the only thing one can do is stop the loss or the complete routing. And that's what happens in this small condensed space. Despite Gigi's size, despite Nikki's guys, their physical seeming, being outnumbered, outweighed, outgunned by the skill of those involved in this moment, they managed to, in tandem, separate Leonetti from Don Pompeo, which is a very, very good thing. Because in the moment, as you pull him free, just as you get him free, there is a scent that is strangely familiar and impossible all at once. When humans burn, it's typically the flesh and the muscle and sinew that we smell. But they're underneath it all, especially in a larger situation where the full body is being immolated. The scent of bone burning has its own distinct flavoring and seasoning. And you all see that, you smell that, you feel it on your skin. As you manage to get Leonetti back, you realize that the other two donors were also helping and aiding, pulling him free of the Baron of South Haven, your host, the grantor of your hospitality, Leonetti's employer, and some would say friend, or at least ally. But that stench, that scent of burning bone is unmistakable. And you see wisps of smoke exiting Leonetti's mouth. His fangs look as if they are pockmarked by acid. His tongue looks melted and sunken in. His mouth engorged and inflamed with vitae normally would be a bright red color, but instead there's a darkness to it, as if he somehow hit an artery. The thick vitae still clinging inside his mouth is super dark, super opaque, and there's a small sizzle happening, and you can tell that it's not in his mouth directly, but down the path of his tongue into his throat. There's a warmth to him that dead flesh does not have, even with rousing, and you realize that the heat is coming from the center of him, and the dawn is struggling to control the beast, which is threatening to tear free at the sheer disrespect inherent, the sheer violation of any semblance of hospitality. And just as the dawn is wrestling with this, the donor that Lasky finishes with a strangely annoying as humanity drifts back into his gaze, and he unconsciously is wiping the corners of his mouth. not to smear the blood away, but to collect it all onto his fingertips. And as he's doing this, standing less than 2 feet in front of the Don, you realize Lasky is back. And that he is not quite back yet, but he's struggling with that to get here. And the Don is pissed. So Lasky, the first thing you see is your host from last night that provided you hospitality. The first thing you see was stepping back into yourself, resuiting up into the flesh that is your walking about clothes. You see his angry face. He does it because of the lack of circulation of Ep2. He doesn't look mottled. He doesn't look peaked. He looks as if stone could become angry. There's a paleness to him that denotes that he is 100% dead, but also a boiling, seething energy that is undeniable as the face of rage.
What just happened? Not Leonetti. Lasky will look around at everyone, looking at the angry, scary man, and then looking over at Gigi.
You see Gigi's back as she and Nikki are wrestling with Leonetti. On Leonetti's back is a man half the size of Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger's Liger Beatty, wrestling him back as around his waist, the other twin to that side of beef is helping your 2 quarter members keep your 3rd quarter member from, based on the blood and the smoke and steaming and the stench coming from him, he was feeding on one of you guys, someone.
Does Gigi hear him?
Yes.
She turns to look at him, knowing that the other group is kind of like holding him as well, so she can at least speak to somebody else. Apparently, you did something, and it set him off and made him fucking crazy, and he bit the Don, and now we are entirely fucked.
I just didn't want to kill anyone.
Does that include us? Because that might just fucking happen now.
I mean, he's right there.
Oh shit. The Don just fucking failed frenzy. Congratulations. Thank goodness. Holy shit.
The battle is mostly lost. It is clear with the seething, vibrating energy from the center of this storm that worlds are being moved inside the dawn. Weight of ages are being cast off and struggled against. And his gaze has not left yours, it is clear that in this moment, that while the Don may not be personally in this moment strong enough to kill everyone in this room, that the first to be wrung from this life by his bare hands would be you. Is there anything you might be saying, anything you might be saying in your benefit or in someone else's to ensure that that doesn't happen, or at least that if it does happen, it stops there?
I mean, he's gonna try and talk with talk. I didn't mean any harm, Mister, sir.
It's not about your fucking intentions, it's what you do. And then he whirls, looking at Leonetti. After all we fucking been through. After all we've fucking been through. There's a measure of finality to that. Because he closes the distance. Instead of issuing orders or lending a hand, he keeps walking past the struggling kindred and mortals, trying to stop the engine of destruction that is Leonetti from doing more harm to anyone else. And as he's snapping and snarling and otherwise attempting to get to his food of choice, some of the richer kindred vitae in the area, the Don steps around you all, rests a hand on Haley, and looks to the young lady that opened the door for you all the previous night. There's an exchange and an answering of an invisible question between them. Don keeps moving. Standing where you are, looking past Leonetti, looking over Haley's shoulder at the lady outside, who you can clearly see is brandishing a very wide muzzled gun. Leonetti's your resident firearm expert. So for the rest of you all, it is just a handgun that looks as if it was a rifle sawed down. It's not a barrel over barrel, and it's not a single barrel. There's a 3x3 wide barrel at the muzzle of this gun. That 3x3 comes up, and it's clear that she is aiming at Leonetti. She doesn't say anything. She just calmly raises the firearm that she had, and she aims very carefully. As you all are struggling, and he's moving, he's attempting to snap or snarl as the Don continues on his way past through the rest of the open barn and right on out. Is there anything anyone is attempting to do?
Well, obviously, because Lasky's Lasky. He'll instinctively step in front of Leonetti and the person holding the gun. Aiming at him.
So.
Anyone else? We know what Lasky is doing. You can see it happening before it happens. You see him rushing forward, leaping as if he is a Secret Service agent to protect the president.
So, Dawn, was it? Can I call you Dawn? I suppose we should go have a talk with your decorator, see if we can get some things sorted.
You know the way to the house. Meet me in the sitting room.
All right. I will meet you in the sitting room.
And while Gigi and Nikki struggle with Leonetti, and Lasky leaps in front, there is this sound. I don't know if you all had the opportunity of playing around with very dangerous but fun fireworks when you were youth. There was a sound that an M80 made, especially if you put it under a can, and it'd send the can flying into the air, and there'd be this loud, slightly muffled, almost metal on metal sound that would occur. The M80s were extraordinarily loud. Out of most anything else, that was the one thing you knew by the sound of it. And that's what you all hear in the close confined space. You hear a explosive expulsion of air. There's no fire, which is normally what happens from muzzle flash. There's no ignition of any fuel. There's no striking. There's nothing along those lines. You don't see the muzzle flare. You don't see the burning air and it being expelled and backdraft from. No, there's just this super loud, explosive sound. When Lasky drops, and Leonetti drops. Slumps is more the word because there's too many people holding Leonetti. No one to catch Lasky as he hits the ground. Well, that was fun. I've always wanted to see how many of you all this would go through. And it's only as she says that Gigi realizes there's a pain across her midsection. And while they didn't burrow in, there's several little small fletchers of wood sticking into her skin. Several small slivers of a surprisingly bright white wood peppering the space in front of her where Leonetti was pressed against her. Y'all want to bring your friends up to the house? We got a medical bay. We can get them the needed juice you all asked for earlier without them doing all of this. We are hoping to not have to. We don't like chaining folks up. We don't like having to use the medical bay in this way, but we can. Of course, being at Pomp's mercy in the mood that he's in now, I would not wish on my worst enemies. Great boss, but one of the worst enemies I have ever seen. Now, and as she's saying this, she's taking off that wide 3x3 portion of the firearm. And she's talking and she puts it into her left pocket and She pulls another 3x3 out of her right pocket and affixes it to the end of the firearm as she's talking.
Gigi is fighting with the inner oblivion not to go kill that bitch, but we've already done enough damage tonight. So she just grits her teeth. Fair is fair, and yep, we'll be in. Looking at Nikki. She fucking shot me.
I don't think she meant to shoot you. She was shooting last, just a buckshot.
Fucking wooden buckshot.
Well, it is the only way to drop us. And if you think about it, it is quite efficient. They are both no longer moving. So, I mean, it is a shame she shot you. I mean, especially what clothes you're wearing, darling. But what else could she do? She is a human.
Well, I've always wanted to try this one. Like I said, I was wondering how many of y'all it'd go through. We tested it out. It goes through about 60 feet normally, and that's far too powerful to stop at one. So while it'll drop you temporarily, normally y'all get right back up. Luckily, it went through 2 and almost 1 of you, so that's almost 3. But that I think him leaping in front of it made it so that the fletchet stayed in instead of him just passing through. And then we gotta, and as she speaks, she levels the gun at her waist, holding it with her elbow locked in so that it won't be much recoil, and she draws out from underneath her jacket. Once you all drop, then that's when normally this comes in, and she makes the chopping motion with the machete that she pulled from underneath her jacket. It's efficient, and it makes it short work of most of y'all. We try not to do it too often.
You can rest assured, darling, both weapons are no longer needed in this situation. I think you had quite with them.
Well, y'all say that, but... And she looks at Leonetti. He was my friend. I have gotten him many victuals along the way over the years. But this here, putting teeth into Pompey, now that's just uncalled for. That is uncouth, and I thought someone had raised him better than that.
Unfortunately, ma'am, sometimes we cannot control ourselves.
Well, he's done a good job thus far controlling himself. You know how many times I walked in on him nearly... Well, anyway, y'all want to lift him up. My boys are a little tired. Plus, I may need them to keep you all from doing something stupid. Just in case. Like, I believe in putting my cards on the table.
Believe me, ma'am, you've already taken care of all the stupid.
Y'all say that now. But y'all the one that sent us out here not letting us know that they were plumb loco ravenous.
What part of me telling you that they were fairly injured do you not get? What happens when we get injured?
Well, not this normally. I have seen Pompey lose a hand. And I've seen, and she points to Leonetti, he lost his leg about 7 years ago. And, well, that's just nasty watching it come back, watching him spill that blood down there, and then one thing laid to another, and next thing you know, he got a brand new leg sitting there. But all the same, I've seen injuries, and I've seen you all do miraculous things. I have not, as of yet, seen... Well, there was that one back in 83. But he didn't lose his mind this way. Anyway, I have seen you all behave poorly, but never quite this poorly, like a chain reaction, as if someone has infected you all with a bit of the crazes and disrespectfuls all at the same time.
What can I say, darling? Them in.
I suppose that will have to be the only answer I'm going to get, because I don't believe that Pompey is going to be all that polite going forward, and I may need to have But anyway, we'll talk. Come along now. Let's get y'all inside. Medical bays around the back. We get them all chained in and situated so that we can get them fed. And I'm taking it that bit of energy y'all exerted put yourselves in a similar situation as well.
No, ma'am, I didn't overexert myself.
But y'all did so very much.
I'm fine.
And Nikki will grab part of me and Nettie. Would you care to give me a hand, Gigi, please? Let's not keep the Don waiting any more than he already is. He is in quite the mood.
If I grab Leo with you, who's gonna grab Tom? I mean, I guess we could drag him by the feet.
Fine, I'll drag Lasky.
And that's what they do. Yes, they
Yeah.
as indelicately as possible. They grab legs.
Not really. Not really. She's just gonna drag Lasky.
No, I said indelicately, not delicately.
Oh, okay. Is it to be, or does it see every mess we get in revolves around these two?
These two are Marcus, but we got rid of Marcus, so that tells you what we need to do with these two.
Marcus really got rid of himself.
You know, it's funny the way things work out.
Mm-hmm.
It is amusing that everything tends towards its eventual radioactive decay. Usually by time, the thief of always. But in this moment, it is the beast, the unheeded, the unloved, the discounted beast, which has reared its head because it was left unattended. It was left unprayed, ungifted. It was left to its own devices with no support to keep it from acting out of hand. The beast he could be carried with him. The beast that nearly reared its head with the Don himself. And yet, managed to wrestle into a semblance of submission. He managed to exert just enough effort to establish distance. So moments later, Haley settled into the sitting room where you all began the evening, speaking with Don as to the noble intentions and the truths that you've all learned in Walkerton. Warrington attempting to better his position and his standing to get more from the deal than just what might have been easily offered. And now, Haley, alone, in the sitting room. Seconds tick by into minutes into quarter hours, and just as the come down is beginning, the drugged vitae coursing through Haley's system, moving a little slower, even with the power of the beast motivating it along. The Don enters with 2 guards. Not large men. Somehow it's worse. Because while he is 5'7", 5'8" with shoes on, the guards, the clear muscle he brings with him is anything but muscle visually. There's a child of maybe, barely, almost legal, just past the age of 21, barely. Though her face denotes her as being somewhere in early to mid high school age. It's clear based on certain stylistic choices that she's far older than she actually seems. The other is a woman about 90, if she's a day. Her hair completely white, pulled into a slightly messy bun. Her clothing loosely draping her still taut form. They move in like a fighter squadron. You got the point, you got the two wings, and the Don moves to the opposite side of the room, keeping half the room between you and him. He's changed his shirt, he's changed his jacket. The slacks, you can't tell whether they changed or not because, dark is dark, blue is blue. They blend together after a while. And he's carrying a forearm length wooden box. Oblong, it's a rectangle, not a box, it's a case to be exact. The shine of the clearly well cared for shellacking on the box, denoting there's something warm and inviting inside that will make things warm and inviting, something cared for, or more probably something dangerous. Because he sits it on his lap and rests his hands on it, smoothing away the dust bunnies that aren't there. And then he looks up at you, tearing his eyes from the box on his lap, while the older of the two guards moves to the middle point of the room, closer to the window. Instead of looking out, watching what's happening outside, she places herself in front of the window with her eyes on you. The younger moves to the left of the door, so the door opens out away from her, meaning that she'd get the first opportunity to act against anyone that entered without being in the way, without being easily seen.
Alright. So first off, if your dick is in that box, I'm going to be very upset. Second off, I don't know why you brought the heavies. I have not freaked out. I have not killed anyone. I don't even fucking know these people.
These aren't the heavies. These are the almost heavy. These are the brain trusts that I will be on my best behavior in front of. They're here for your protection, not for mine. And my dick? No. Not in this box. I do have a couple of toy bags that some of the guests like to amuse themselves with. It's amazing that after several centuries, some of these ancient monsters find the machinations that modern man gets up to absolutely hilarious.
Toyador, am I right? Bunch of perverts and degenerates, all of them.
No, I wish it was. You ain't seen nothing till you see a bunch of fucking Hakata party. When trying to make contact and connections with the Castiglione, I had to attend a couple of their parties. You gotta pay your respect. And when I tell you that they keep it in the family, you'll be thankful they did. So, here's a situation. I don't mind a little thieving. I don't mind a little stealing. And the reason why is that if you can't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of my interests as a friend and associate? Just adds to the cost of things. It's how we do business. It's a sad dog don't wag his own tail. So I'm okay with simply when theft is occurring that it's rolled into the price of doing business. I am not okay that someone would have the unmitigated gall to put their hands on me. I don't touch people. I don't touch kindred. When I have to touch people and when I have to touch kindred, it is for a particular end, the end of them. I find the sweatiness of people offensive. I find the slick, cold deadness of kindred a crime against my very being. And as angry, go on, you're saying.
I was just going to say that was pretty fucked up in the barn there. I don't know what was going on. Some sort of pissing contest or something that started it. I don't know. But one thing I do know about boys, if they can't eat it or fuck it, they're going to hit it with something.
Funny you should mention that. And he sets the box beside him on the arm of the chair where he's resting, crossing one leg over the other. You don't know them, but you knew Caldwell. They were sent to find Caldwell to make contact and bring him back for Baron Stevens of Van Gary. What they don't know was their buddy, the Regent, their good friend, left me with a certain amount of missives and communications to create a side deal for me. He was going to use their strengths. He was going to use them as cat's paw to depower Baron Stevens so that I might have access to Gary unfettered, not stepping on anybody's toes because it'd be mine. Well, I didn't fucking trust them. Like, you never trust a fucking warlock. They are all their own worst enemies.
Right?
It is.
That's what I said near the tree, and then the mob chased him.
It is fucking tempting. 2 locations under my control. The money, the revenue, the opportunity to create something that is actually lasting. All without lifting a finger, because he was going to use these schmoes to bring Stevens down. I think the plan is still on, though the terms have changed. I don't want Baron Stevens brought down. I do want Anthony Gary, but I don't want to be part of the maintenance. I don't want to be part of the management. I want you all to make sure that Baron Stevens is untouchable. She's the last connection to Caldwell. She's the last connection to what used to be. There was a time when Gary was an up-and-comer. There was a time when Gary was something that was not a joke. There was a time when Gary wasn't just the blackest city in Indiana.
It's kind of a shithole now.
Oh, yeah. But what better place to create a fly farm than a place of shit, yeah?
I suppose. So what's in the box?
He strokes the box one more time, loving the insurance policy that the warlock had against them all. Modified by my people.
Some sort of magic hoodoo thing.
You can say that. He opens the box one-handedly, flipping it open as you would a book you want to just scan from a distance. And with that, he stands up and reaches into the case. There's a syringe.
Haley's eyes will light up.
So my guys aren't as skilled as the warlocks. So instead of it being transmitted through proximity over time, I gotta dose you.
I mean, what are you dosing me with exactly?
A little bit of happiness. It will
I
feel
mean,
as if you are floating along on a cloud of fuck.
I mean, I already feel that way, but, I'm just interested to what is in that needle. It can't be worse than anything else that's been in a needle, right?
Nah, you'll enjoy it. Now, normally I'm sure you take it through one of your donors, but this stuff here will fucking tranquilize a charging bull hippo. So you gotta take it the other way. Now, you want your arm, you want your ass cheek. You need a big muscle group.
Well, the other arm has got a lot of experience, so I guess there.
Good.
She will offer her arm with the great big raven bat tattoo to cover up the track marks.
He smiles as he moves. Now, I know you may be used to it, but there's gonna be a little sting even for us. So I'm gonna count down and we'll do it together, okay?
We're gonna shoot up together.
Well, no, I'm gonna fucking poke you with this, but it's gonna fucking hurt at first. And it's better to get you prepared and get you ready for it. Do you like a 3 count or do you like a 5 count?
I mean, I'm pretty numb.
Hey, stabs you. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your stamina and your composure? Your DC is 3. As prepared as Haley has been, as many places as she's partied, as many ways as she has learned how to properly, secretly dose herself, and even dead, how to dose yourself via syringe and not do yourself a harm or mischief. When the plunger drops, it is as if for a fleeting second, the entirety of her arm is being melted in a microwave, turned into gelatinous goo. That's what it feels like. Neurons and nerve endings that had never properly worked through all of the abuse she's done herself are inflamed. For the briefest of seconds, it feels as if she is alive. And then the pleasure hits. And it very much is feeding. It very much is the kiss backed by several hundred uppers. It is the kiss if someone decided to distill it to its base essence and then distill that again. And like all candies from strangers, there can never be anything wrong with it. Nothing at all. Haley doesn't realize the plunger has stopped and there's no more coming down the pipeline until she realizes the Don is once more sitting and the case is closed. She's not quite sure how many minutes, moments, or even nights have passed.
Fuck, mate. You can make a mint with that.
We do what we can. It's a good thing that I didn't give you the whole dose.
I mean, you could have. I've got experience.
And
I'll take the rest if you've got it.
You can't be fucking rude. You gotta save some for your buddies. And as you all walk in hearing don't be fucking rude. You gotta say something for your buddies. With Haley looking as if she has gotten the absolute best moment of her night, potentially of a decade, maybe several years more than that. What is Gigi and Nikki and John and Leonetti doing? It has been 2 hours, and blood has been pumped into them as if they were the last, most valuable entities in the world. By pumped, they used an embalming machine, but instead of it being embalming fluid, it was gallons upon gallons of blood pushed, filling the kindred system that they were. As they came into themselves, initially chained to the table, watching as Gigi and Nikki were offered refreshment, equally under guard but not chained themselves. One thing leading to the next. Freedom granted. You all escorted through the house, up the stairs, and finally to the sitting room.
Wait. Just before that, I wanted to. Leonetti would do something once he finally woke up. And he does remember everything he did, right? That's
hazily
important.
It's like a dream that wasn't really.
Does he remember at least biting the bear?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all that
delicious.
I need to know.
That was delicious.
Yeah, there's that voice, and then there's another voice screaming in the back of his head saying, "How dare I? How dare I do that to somebody who's helped me for so long? Why did I ever do such a thing?" And the person who got me into that situation, I hate with a burning fucking passion, and I will never help him for as long as his life, his now meaningless life, allows him to. That Lasky is fucking dead to Leonetti now. And he yells at Lasky, don't ever expect me to help you ever again after the shit you pulled.
Lasky's just gonna stay quiet.
And Leonetti turns his head and just continues going on, mumbling to himself.
Y'all too damn being drama fucking queens. We're gonna go fix this now.
Nikki will take refreshment. Just one thing of hunger.
So what is my hunger at now?
I know mine's at 0.
What?
I was just wanting to know how much my hunger is decreased. Okay. Down 2-1 or down 1?
1 is where your hunger actually is.
Okay, got it. Wanted to make sure.
Which is troubling, because with where you are internally, there's only one way to get down to that level of hunger, and that's with consuming kindred vitae. Enough vitae that you can satiate more than you have in the last bulk of a year. Kindred vitae is the only way for you to satiate the beast below too, and you're there now.
He doesn't care right now. He has something more important to do. He'll do his best to try to solve that problem when he can.
So as they're walking in, they hear, "You gotta save some for your friends." I think that's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
She looks at Nikki and then looks at Haley, seeing the highness, and she just like groans. What? Saving what now?
That's what I'd like to know.
So fucking good of you guys to join them. Take a seat. And you all see the wizened old lady by the door, dressed loosely but operationally sound, sturdy boots, an ankle-length skirt, and a standard, simple, pleasant peasant's blouse. While the entrance behind the door that you all really did see very much looked as if she thought it was hard to not see the two of them entered in the room outside of Don Haley muscle. The air of wary professional menace.
I do apologize that it took us this long, but they were picking pieces of wood out of my belly and fixing him internally.
Of course, a good host is a good host, even if he doesn't have a good guest.
Look at my hand. It's weird.
What's going on with your hand?
Gigi kind of leans her glasses. She's high out of her mind. I would have thought you'd be coming down now from that donut you had earlier. Is it something else?
I think we walked.
He got some special candy there.
Yes, I think we walked in after she just ate her candy.
Ooh, I want to do a thing.
No.
You've done enough. Stop.
It's all right. It's all right. I'll take this.
It's not a ooey booey thing. Yeah, I do have sense the unseen. I'm going to look around with that on, unless that's passive though, isn't it?
Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll witch plus awareness?
Do I add the aspects to it too, or
Nope, just witch and awareness.
Haley also has sense the unseen, though I think she sees things that are unseen because they're not there.
Can have a little bit of both. The roll is solely for a more introspective, focused look. Like you're looking at the ceiling tiles, you're counting the ceiling tiles, you're counting the number of timbers across the roof of the room. It's not one of those casual.
the amount of stairs on the stairs.
Right, you're doing a more focused call to pick up the details in the area. And here's the funny thing about Sense the Unseen. While you can pick up the oral manifestation of spirits, sometimes you can actually see them as they wish to be seen. More often than not, especially in cities like Gary, Chicago, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and so forth and so on, there's so many, they kind of blend into the background. They have these things that are a little more extraordinarily stand out. A place like South Haven, however, the fact that arranged behind Don Pompeo are several men and women dressed severely in ties and blazers, some with hats, a few without. And they all bear a familial similarity. It is decidedly unsettling because it looks as if you are on trial by invisible entities as they stand at his back, as they look over you all. And the old adage that dead men tell no tales, well, it's not entirely true. You just wish that they did, because most of what the dead have to tell is the cause for cessation of existence, the ending of life permanently. And when you have the opportunity and potential for forever the end of things, is to be feared and dreaded with all one's might. Yet Lasky is able to realize that is exactly what stands before them. That's exactly what waits just over Don's shoulder. So, Lasky going silent typically means that he's invested in that moment. Lasky, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your composure and either performance or persuasion as you're trying to keep from responding to what you see. Your DC is
Composure
2.
or.
And while that's happening, Gigi, Nikki, Leonetti, the Don has instructed you all to sit, do you? You take this moment to exert your independence.
Oh no.
No, Leonetti sits, and he just his eyes are down, almost like his head is down, just listening, but very, very much not like the terrifying reaper of death that he has been seen by many. This is a man who has lost a lot. A man who has essentially been stabbed in his pride and in his core. Yeah.
So you all know the way that sales pitches work, right? Good. Normally the first person that talks in a sales pitch is the person who's coming to be sold. I'm not selling you anything. That doesn't really matter. You all have disrespected my home. You have disrespected my hospitality. And you have disrespected my personal autonomy and space. Which is by far the most egregious of the crimes. No other places, Chicago, to name a few, they'd do something grandiose to explain and show you where you stand in the scope of things. If you were part of my mortal employees, something similar might occur. But you all, denizens of Garrett, there was an agreement between yourselves and me without you all being completely party to it. I'm going to hold you to it with a slight modification. Instead of you all laying Baron Stevens low, you all are going to find all of her enemies for me. And we're going to make sure they're no longer her enemies or no longer in Gary. To make sure that we are of the same page, the insurance policy that was brought to me has been modified. And he opens the case. You're each going to take a hit of this Then you're gonna go back to Gary. You're gonna do your thing. You're gonna bury yourselves in being good, upstanding fucking anarchs. Or undercover agents against whoever's working against the anarchs. You're gonna use your individual skills, your network of informants, your resources amongst the court systems, your connection with the down and out, to make sure that not one person, not one kindred, not one ghost even, has the opportunity to end, stop, or otherwise aggravate, annoy, or bother Baron Stevens. If you are successful long enough to make sure that she lasts the year, our debt, our balance between us, considered moot. You fuck up, you fail, you run, and I turn into a cartoon version of myself. The vengeful, I want him dead, I want his family dead, I want his dog dead, times several hundred. I will be inconsolable. I expect you all to be honest and forthright that if we're gonna have a problem, we get this settled here and now. Who's in? Who's out?
I'm in.
Well, don't all speak at once.
I realize my part in this debt, but I do not do drugs. I do not wish to start this evening, so is there a way to do this without that?
I'll do the drugs.
I'll be more than willing to give my share to Haley. I prefer to stay clear-headed.
I like this plan.
So you guys like to renegotiate the yes
I'll
part.
take it.
You guys like that, and that's fine. I'm sure that works great for you as a former barrister, or you in whatever circles that like all that skin graffiti on themselves. As this is binary, yes or no, in out.
Looking at Lasky because she really starts to understand why Leonetti was yelling at him. Fine. I am in. I'm gonna have to do this in one way or the other, so in or out, and I'm in.
How rude would it be if I took out Lasky took out his phone and said a quick text?
Find out. Does he have etiquette?
No.
So he has no clue. He has no idea. He has no vantage point to compare it against. One way to find out.
Cause trouble. Text later. Hopefully his mind isn't impaired too much by this drug. I mean, this other drug. Wait a minute. You know what? Yeah, no.
So, with Leonetti, an agreement. With Lasky, an agreement. With Gigi, an agreement. There is a moment where everything is quiet enough that you can hear several pins drop, and gazes turn directly towards Nathan.
I'm serious, fam. If you're gonna try drugs, this is the one you want.
For personal reasons,
Sam?
I prefer not to do drugs. But if this would appease the Baron, I would do it. And she says this through clenched teeth.
There's a before and after with most things. Benchmarks in one's existence or one's life are before and after. I remember the time when I turned, or I remember the time when it went there, and there are things that are irrevocably life altering and changing. Your normal becomes something new, something slightly different. This very much is that moment. Because when you each time, I'm just gonna make it a simple one roll with a DC2. Just roll your stamina. To speed things along a little quickly here. We're running a little short on time. When you all partake, you're literally resisting the surprise fire as your skin melts away where the needle embeds itself. And just as it gets to the point where the pain is nearly too much, the high hits. The mind-opening, senses-flaying high. The becoming one with the world around you. The understanding the ebb and flow of the molecules that make up everything that you are and everything that exists around you. And time moves on. And it is far too close to sunrise when you all come down. Haley having driven you the last 10 miles to the school on the southeastern side of Gary, your haven that you all started from, the last remnants of your former identity as the coterie you were. I'm not sure how long it took, but you're sure that it's taken quite a while because Haley is still considerably far more inebriated than she should be. And while she's had a lesser version, a lesser dose given, the high is still very much time mind altering. Arriving back at the last place you all considered almost home is a capper for a very long adventure. There's truths of yourselves and of the city around you that you all have to come to grips with. One,
Sorry.
Go on, Lene.
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. I don't remember what I should be rolling again.
Stamina DC2.
Okay, DC2. Okay. Wait. I think I did that wrong. What was the stat again?
Stamina.
Okay, stamina. Thank you. Yep, okay, I did that right. I failed.
So arriving at the last place you all considered home is a capper in and of itself. A very long time since you've been here and seen it as you see it. The troubling part is that there is a small, very small, fleet of vehicles. 3 to be exact. None of them you recognize. And the school is lit from within, as though it's been boarded up, even though it's been modified by you all.
Do they look more like official? Like SCB Baron Stevens.
There's one standard bad guy, large, dark SUV, two small sedans, one a Cadillac and the other a both dark, tinted windows, heavy frames, tires that look as if they are designed to withstand bullet fire, and all very close or closer to the ground.
Are they? So they've already kind of come down now. Yuji is kind of back there, though.
Yes. You all are going back into this moment. Not quite sure where the time has gone or what was in that vial. Saves bits and pieces come back to you all. The hinting that this was part of your leaders, your former leaders, your former warlocks' plan. His fallback just in case things went sideways. And that he had found a way to administer it through osmosis, through being present in his presence over time.
Swear, if it wouldn't get me trapped in that fucking town, I'd go back and kill Marcus myself. I don't recognize any of those vehicles. Do you, Nikki?
No. Oh,
So-
wait a minute. Okay, never mind. I thought it was muted. Sorry.
Lasky, would you be so kind as to roll your intelligence plus awareness?
You really wanna? Okay. Oh.
It just occurred to you now, some of what you overheard Marcus state. He already had access to your blood. He could track you all by your blood. When did he get all of your blood? When did he start whatever plan that Baron Pompeo mentioned and alluded to? And for everyone else, while most large sedans and most SUVs look exactly the same, there are certain telltale signs for police vehicles obtained through seizure and forfeiture. And while from a distance, at a glance, each of these vehicles would easily fool most people into not realizing that they were police vehicles, Lasky has had enough experience with being surveilled that they stand out to him as GPD vehicles.
Hey guys, those are cops.
Well, then, we should not stay here.
Agreed.
What did you do now?
Nothing.
This time it wasn't us.
We've
It
not
was
been in Gary.
literally not been in Gary for how long has it been?
Like 2 days.
Huh, yeah,
Well,
we weren't here.
I mean, there's a statute of limitations, and it's certainly longer than 2 days.
feels more like 3 months.
3 months, 2 days, several hundred hours. Time is relative. And right now, the one thing that is relative to you all is that danger is your new normal. Persisting against the forces aligned against you due to lack of choice early on forms the basis and foundation of everything moving forward.
Looks at the rest of them. We might as well get our meeting with Stevens over and give her the news she has been waiting for. And then that might just give us a place to stay for the evening if we go to Silk's. Evans.
All right, where the fuck is that?
He said to like either side would be aren't fighting against those guys.
Did you realize the only one that was actively trying to get us to fight Stevens was Marcus? And he was betraying us the whole time. Obviously making deals with Pompeo and whatever else and whoever else he could. So, necessarily going against Stevens.
I wasn't talking about Marcus. I was talking about something. They've been gone.
As you all sit, the headlights on pointing toward the school. Cars and vehicles in the parking lot still sitting there. The door on the main floor that last he was thrown through by Mayor Stevens opens from inside. Stepping out is a 6'2" tall man of clear African American Caribbean ancestry. His hair slicked back, his goatee well trimmed, his suit immaculate, though it reminds you more of something a very successful police detective might wear. Flanking him is a gentleman who looks in his mid to late 40s. He carries the bearing of someone who has spent time in various battlefields around the world. There's something military about his character there. His suit, nice, though utilitarian. His shoes, 100% utilitarian. The sort that you could run across a rooftop, run across a minefield, or, kicking in the door with. The black usually fools most people into not paying attention, but in this particular coterie of individuals, paying attention is what they do. Whether they act on the information or not, they do pay attention. And the moment gets worse, because if it was just the two of them, there could be any number of things afoot. But as the other three exit, there is a surprising feeling of the other shoe dropping. There's a surprising feeling, as if the thread holding Damocles' sword above your throne has been nicked at just the right to cause it to drift in slow motion towards you. There is an air of finality. Fernando. We'll see you guys next time. That's the point of who has been sleeping in Marvel.
99.
I'm hating you right now.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. They'll forgive me by Sunday.